I'm trying to understand. These guys are bad guys, but previously they would have only been charged with assault or arson or rioting or weapons charges. Terrorism is totally new. What does it mean when you give someone a terror label? What does it open up? Why is this controversial?
Well, I think it opens them up to much greater punishments. Number one, I think to zoom out on this story, though, Democrats and the left have denied the existence of this Antifa organization for
Right.
years. But if you turn on your television and you look at what's happening in Portland or you look what's happening in Chicago, really around the country, when you see some of these protests turning violent, you're seeing people there who are obviously well organized, they're well financed, they have equipment, they're showing up with a plan. This is the Antifa terror organization. These are not random citizens who just hopped off their porch and decided to show up for a protest. These people are organized terrorists. And in many cases, they are putting federal facilities and federal agents in danger. And so President Trump has labeled Antifa a terrorist organization, and now he's empowered his prosecutors to go after them as such. But it is obvious they're all over the country, and they've been in Portland for years up there. But you see it in the video, Jillian.
Yes.
They're shooting fireworks at the federal officials, at the
Yeah.
federal law enforcement. They're armed. They have an upgraded set of capabilities beyond what some random protester would have.
Here's where this gets confusing, and I admit to it being confusing because there's no like card to carry as a member. It's not like KKK where I imagine you get a hood when you sign up. So if it's this amorphous ideology, how do you label somebody with it? I can see the concern, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care. They're a criminal attacking federal law enforcement. Throw the book at them. But what would designate somebody getting that label, do you think?
Well, I think it probably has to do with when they capture them, questioning them, who is engaged in the financing of your outfit.
Okay.
Who are you organizing with? Are you part of a larger group? What evidence can you gather from those people after they've been arrested? I think, honestly, it probably becomes pretty obvious who they are once they have them under arrest. And so when you see these protests that grow violent on your television,
Yep.
they're out there arresting these people. And my anticipation is, or my imagination is that it's relatively obvious who is part of some larger, more well-financed, well-organized group and who is, just some random person. I mean, you see these folks. I mean, they're showing up. They have masks.
Yep.
They've got, I mean, this stuff isn't
I've
free.
got a video of it, actually. Guys, can you toss up one of the protest clips from Los Angeles? The cars are on fire.
Yeah.
We've all seen the footage, you're right, of people throwing cinder blocks on cop cars, lighting Waymos. Listen to this.
I've been completely hit by graffiti, a lot of paint, a lot of words and statements being placed on these Waymos. And this is quite an interesting scene.
Quite an interesting scene, though, is how the left-leaning media label this is quite an interesting scene. You've got violent mobs, cars on fire. They're tagging things all over the neighborhood. In the same protest, they're throwing cinder blocks onto police cars off of a bridge over a highway. And yet, when you look at No Kings, which is raging across the country, again, the movement behind the protests, I had to look this up, Indivisible 50501 movement. And they emphasize that their rallies are intended to be peaceful and nonviolent, and that they're broadly organized by progressive labor and civil rights organizations. So their argument is, no, we're intending to be peaceful, and we just don't want fascist Nazis running the country. And yet when it turns out like this, it's interesting. Where is the disconnect? Why does the left refuse to call out this madness?
Well, because most Democratic politicians don't want to run afoul of their base. I mean, look what's happening in the state of Virginia. There are elections in November. The candidate for attorney general has texted out to people that he would like to put 2 bullets in the head of a political opponent and see that man's children die in the arms of their mother. And Democrats in Virginia cannot find the wherewithal to throw him off the ballot. Now, we're living through a period where we're all debating and grappling with political violence, but they won't get rid of this guy over there because they are afraid that their political base will revolt against them. You've seen poll after poll after poll, large numbers of self-identified liberals, especially liberal young people, say that, yes, sometimes political violence and even assassination is justified if you don't get what you want out of an election. So I think most of these Democratic politicians, Jillian, frankly, just live in fear of this radical base that is embracing more violent activity. You see it all over the country. They're attacking ICE facilities. They're writing messages on the bullets. When they shot Charlie, they wrote messages on the bullets. When they shot up the ICE facility in Texas, they wrote messages on the bullets. When Luigi Mangione killed the healthcare CEO in New York, he wrote messages on the bullets. You know, these are not people who are anxious for more speech and debate. They've long passed that up. These are people who want more violence, and they're all emanating from the left.